So welcome everyone. I want to start off by introducing myself, and then I'll go and introduce each of the panel participants. My name is Sheri Braithwaite, and I am the facilitator of Thriving Singles Community. It's a group, a community of Christian singles that are middle-aged, 40 to 65-ish, and influencers also. So we have doctors and therapists and coaches. We have some college professors, and so actually even some filmmakers in here that we just are kind of connecting with all these singles. And all of the reason that we're doing this group is because it's for people who want to dive into self-improvement, personal development, and nutrition is one of those things that I think is more important than maybe some of the others. And we've had some panel discussions on trauma recovery, and that's of course really important for those who have gone through divorce or lost a spouse. And nutrition is such a big deal with how it affects us emotionally and physically, mentally. And I have really wanted for myself, I wanted to have some answers from nutritionists, from people who know these scientists. They understand all the stuff that we need to understand about gut health and how that affects our brains. And I'm just very excited for everyone that's joining on this panel to be here. I want to make sure that that's working on Facebook. And so if you're watching and you have any questions, I'll be able to know. And then I'll hurry and introduce everybody. I just want to make sure that if you're trying to talk to us, I'm not hearing you. Be good. So drop in the comments. It is working. Awesome. If you have any questions or comments, you want to add anything or add to our conversation, throw it in the comments. And we'll see where we can go. I usually have a hard time watching both, so we'll see how that goes. Okay, so I am going to introduce you with the information that each of them provided to me, and then I'll let them add to how they want to say, if it's any more than what I'm sharing. So we have Kristen LINDORF. She is a registered dietitian. Kristen, raise your hand. It's Kristen. She has 15 years of experience, and she's also she's scaling to make her company go online this summer. So awesome. And then Kristy Burtonshaw, licensed massage therapist and structural integrator. She specializes in nutrition also, and which is good. I'm very interested too. After talking to her on the phone, it's fascinating how she talks about the toxins that get stuck in our muscles and how we can have these massages to help detoxify and all that kind of stuff. That also has to do with our gut health and everything else that we're going to talk about. And then Ruthie RENEE. She wants to be called Ruthie RENEE. Ruthie, if you want to tell us your new last name, I don't know it. I never remember it. Martin? Is it Martin? Is that right? Ruthie
it's
RENEE.
Wilson.
You might just want to be okay, Wilson.
Ruthie RENEE is just easier.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's good. She is a certified hypnotherapist, an autoimmune nutritionist, and former national educator for Hemp Lucid. Is that how you say it? Mm-hmm. Lucid. Okay. And then, and I'm just running through so fast. I didn't give you guys a chance to add, but we still can. This is good. We still can in just a minute. Then Tatia Nelson. She is a nutritionist. She's a master herbalist. Are you going to raise your hand, Tatia? That's Tatia.
Hi guys.
Yeah. She also supplement formulator and a diplomat of a holistic iridology. Say that right? Iridology.
You did.
Okay, and then we have Mark Webb, who has joined us, and I don't know enough about Mark. I do know that he has taught toxicologist. Is that how you say that? For 9 years. And then
yes.
Nutrition for 30 years. High Energy Labs, which is what I'm excited about. That's the business that you own, right? Or you work for?
Correct. Yeah. High Energy Labs.
So tell me more of what you said, Mark. the anti-aging too. We can talk about that as well. I mean, I told them this is the right group to tell
Okay.
it.
I wasn't planning on being part of this panel, so thank
No,
you for
that's why
having me here. And I wasn't planning on fielding any questions. I was really here just to listen, but it's an awesome group. And you guys I really like the subject and the topic matters. So thanks for doing it. Thanks to everyone out there listening. As far as anti-aging, I've had a nutritional supplement company called High Energy Labs, which is highenergylabs.com. We specialize in anti-aging and sports nutrition products, from joint health to sleep to anti-aging. And there's about 9 different products that we carry. We sell to gyms, to health food stores nationwide, and to chiropractors, just kind of different places all over. And I've had it for just over 22 years. Prior to that, I've mainly done marketing and product development and research for various companies, and kind of started my career out as a toxicologist, doing animal research, which is not the greatest thing to do, especially if you love animals.
Yeah, but you get good information, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Good information that you can share. So I am curious, because I can trust that nutritionists know about all of the effects of just toxins, that when you do these studies and when you create these supplements, I'm just curious about that process. So Mark, you might be given more questions than you bargained for. But anyway, you want to say you can, but is it herbs? And I mean, is it natural stuff that you put into this?
Yeah, no, so it's a very clean, high-end line. I believe in using the purest quality and highest ingredients because you're going to get the best results for that. I also try to focus on clinical results and using pharmaceutical grade ingredients, which is, the highest quality that you can use, as well as using clinical doses, which means there's enough in there to cause or elicit a response. Most people don't really, I guess they're formulating based off a cost. So you really have to do your research in what you're looking for when you're trying to introduce supplements into your body, whether that's for gut health or whether it's to treat a specific symptom or issue that you're having. You want to make sure that you're getting the right quality ingredients, and also that you're getting enough of those ingredients to cause a response. And most people, I guess most formulations out there are just based on, hey, I'll put a little bit of it in there for label claim, and the general public is not going to really be aware of how many milligrams or grams of this ingredient or micrograms that I should be taking to elicit a response and get and see results. Yeah. So I've always been of the, my philosophy has always been to put the highest dose in there so you're getting and seeing results immediately and you're causing a response.
Very good.
Thank you for saying that, Mark, because that being in the nutrition world for so many years, that was one of the most frustrating things for customers to come up and say, well, this one has blueberries. And you look and you're just like, it has about a half a blueberry in the entire bottle. So let's just not. Thank you.
Yeah. Good to clarify that.
Or it just wasn't bioavailable. Like how many supplements? I really have a hard time when people are like, I take this brand, and I'm like, well, that's expensive poop because it doesn't break down. Why are you buying something that you don't even like? They don't even dissolve.
Mm-hmm.
So it's and if they do, the study up in Canada that said that somebody said like name brand supplements cause damage.
Yeah. The most expensive product. This is a quote that I will forever remember. The most expensive product is the one that doesn't work.
I like that.
Don't throw your money away.
Yeah. And then how do you know?
I'm quoting you.
How do we know, you guys? How do we know that it's that it's going to be, how can we be educated enough? We can trust you. We can learn, your background and your experience and why you do what you do and how you come up with your formulas. But how can where's a good place for us to do our own studies when it comes to stuff like that?
I think you answered your question.
That's a big question.
You answered the question.
I formulate.
Go ahead. You say, and then I'll say something.
Sorry, Kristy. So I formulate, and it's important to know like where your ingredients come from. When a company that produces supplements will actually send the ingredients out for testing, and you know what kinds of toxins, or sometimes there's dirt. Like when our lab has sent things out, we're like, what percentage of dirt to actual herb is in this thing? And we just have to throw those out and say, we're not even going to do business with people who are going to think about sending us samples with this much garbage in it. You want to go with a company that has a lab, and the lab tests the ingredients and has tradition of doing that. And the top companies in the world will do that. The price is not going to be the cheapest. So when you're looking for the absolute cheapest stuff that's out there, or if you're looking for something at, say, I don't know, Walmart versus, we said Walmart at the same time, it's so funny, versus some other health food stores. The health food stores actually have a filtering out system like Good Earth Markets, where I worked for a while. And, you know, they will actually look at supplements. They don't even put it on their shelf if it's not clean. And if it is something that shouldn't be on their shelf, they find out pretty quick, and it's not on their shelf within a year's time. So
you're chopping a little bit.
Don't hurt.
Oh, say again.
Right?
Just do it again, Mark. You chopped up just a little.
I said God made dirt. Dirt don't hurt.
Yeah.
I didn't pay for dirt at $70 a bottle, man.
I can get dirt if I want my bees that way.
Big things that I recommend when looking at supplements and trying to figure out, you know, as a consumer, what's going to be great for me is, you know, what is the level of transparency that they're willing to go to? You know, what are they willing to share about their clinical studies? Who's funding their clinical studies? Are they doing, if they're funding their own, then they kind of can have the ability to fray their results a little bit. You know, are they getting third-party people? Are they telling you the process by which they're making it? Are they telling you who they're sourcing from? There are several companies that are very well known that just put all of that right on their website. And if you can't get an ingredient list, then you can't get an answer. And that's really what it comes down to. So, I mean, and Mark, I would ask for your thoughts on that as well, because, and also Tasha, as you guys are formulating those things, you know, do you find it helpful in your own practices to provide that information to your consumers to help them gather that trust and gain that trust in your products?
No, that's a great question. I love your comments about full transparency. So over the years, I've formulated for multiple companies and probably done over 300 plus formulations for various companies, from MLMs to kitchen houseware company, where we did a whole nutritional line of smoothies and things like that. So I think the key there is, number one, full transparency. And secondly, working with a brand that you can trust as far as where they're getting their ingredients, because a lot of times on labels, it never says where these are coming from. So, you know, you could have herbs with ingredients that are have traces of lead in them that are coming out of China or something like that. So as far as the process that I've gone through is, number one, we do full microbial testing on all ingredients as they come in. And then once they've been blended, then there's a second testing that's been done as well prior to encapsulation. So I guess the results aren't necessarily always posted on that, and most companies don't go to the effort to post those. The company that I also work for, a company called Nature's Fusions, where we're doing nutritional supplements that Tasha works for. And then we also are an essential oil company, and we do full disclosure on the oils. Good. So there's HPLC, a full spectrum that's done on those oils to show the purity of those. And Good. So you had also mentioned clinical studies. So clinical studies are not required on nutritional supplements, and no one does clinical studies except if it's a patented process or a patented ingredient, and they're trying to do studies on raw materials. Now, we do use patented ingredients in some of our formulations. that are brand names, and that way you're getting the highest quality. But it really depends on what the goal and what you're trying to do. But according to Dietary Health and Supplement Act, you're not required to do clinical studies because all these are categorized as a food item. And so, yes, you can get food from McDonald's, or you can get food from Sprouts, and you're going to get a big difference on the quality of food that you get, and as far as the purity, right? So it's really, where are these ingredients being sourced from and where do they come from? And number two, most importantly, be familiar with the dosages of what is required to elicit or cause a response. And number two, make sure that they're not hiding things under proprietary blends, and that they're not hiding things and not listing the milligrams, because sometimes people put it in just to have it on the label, and you're not really getting a result or benefit from it.
That was my next thought, was the proprietary blend label, how you guys view that, because I know that's a big one, at least as a nutritionist, when people come to me with supplements and I see proprietary blend of XYZ and there's no, list or no amounts for those items or whatever the case may be. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't tell you what that does, because they can't tell me what that does. So, they can tell me what they want it to do, but, depending on what's actually in it, whether it's actually going to be effective or not, that gets very tricky. And I understand the importance of keeping formulas proprietary to a certain level. But for your own competition's sake, but it is important to understand, what's in there, and that it is a potent enough amount and bioavailable enough to actually have an effect.
Yeah.
Right.
Good, you guys. Yes, Ruthie, hold on one second before I let you answer that. I wanted to go back just a little to talk about, there's some questions that I have. Go ahead, Ruthie, you can answer that, and then I'll reverse.
Can I go after Ruthie?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll be super brief, and I can just feel myself kind of my glazing over a little bit and thinking, I have so much to do. I can barely read. I glance at the ingredients to make sure I'm not having the bad guys in there. And so if there's anybody else glazing over and thinking that's just way too much, I have too many things to look at, that's why Kristen and Kristy are your friends. That's why you go to a place like a Good Earth type of health food store, where they have people that have vetted the products and they know what the products are, rather than Walmart and even sometimes Sprouts. They're too, little. At a health food store where people that's their profession, you're going to get a better feedback, because they have 30 different magnesiums. They don't have to sell a specific one. So you're going to get a real opinion of the person you're talking to. This is why I like this magnesium versus this magnesium, and what benefits are you. So it's more of a conversation. So you don't have to know everything. You just have to know a smart person that does know.
Get that information.
Thank you. Well, even backing up from there, so my level of understanding of nutrition would be, why do I have gut aches all the time? Or why do I have horrible headaches all the time? Or, what would you guys, and Kristen, Kristy, you actually wanted to say something first, but that's where I do want to back up and go back to, maybe Tatia also has a little bit of a description of what.
I can answer with my little presentation. Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead, Kristen, and then Tatia, I'll let you do your spill.
Kristen or Kristy? You said Kristy.
You, Kristy. She meant you.
Okay, Kristy.
I said
gotcha.
Got all my thoughts.
So, when I've been doing nutrition for about 10 years, I was given a company that I didn't believe in, and some of their supplements, and I was like, well, I'm gonna do a anecdotal study of one. And so I took them for 2 weeks, and then I stopped taking them for 2 weeks. So that the placebo effect is 15 days, so it can affect. And I did this for several months to see if my body would actually have a change. Now I can feel if my blood sugar level drops. I dealt with hypoglycemia for a long time, and then some other health conditions. And so I know it changes, but my sister does not. So I had my sister do, because once I loved these supplements, I was like, oh, these are great. They're in my price range and they work. So then they had good ingredients and good sourcing. So with my sister, I said, these are great, but don't take my word for it. Go get a blood test. And I had her take a blood test because she cannot feel. If I give her a bee and she needs bees and they work, she won't know it. She won't be like, I feel better today. She has no clue. And then 90 days later, I'm like, okay, now take another blood test. Because sometimes we just don't have that same level of sensitivity, and we're not bad people for that.
Right.
But you can test yourself. You don't have to take anyone's word for it. Do Reading Rainbow right here.
That's right. I want to
take a look. It's in a book, right?
I've got lots
The
of
Reading Rainbow.
Right. So,
Hey, we all just got dated right there, just so we all know.
Isn't this a singles group anyways?
Yes.
It's true.
Well,
I'm
I'm married.
Oh, Kristy's married. Yeah, let's start. I don't ever ask because there might just be in here for as influencers. So married. I didn't clarify that. There are people in the group that are married also. As long as they're influencers, we're good with that. But I want to I'm sorry, Tatia. I want one.
Okay.
I don't know if this would be a segue or if it brings up more questions, but I was just studying Gaber, is it Mate? Do you guys know who that is? He does When the Body Says No. And this is what I learned from him. He says the gut is an organ of digestion. It's also an immune organ that protects you from bacteria and toxins. It's also a sensory organ, and it helps to read the environment. The gut sends many more messages to the brain than the brain sends to the gut. So, is there anything more you want to add to that, Tatia, or does that even lead into anything?
But first of all, is this backwards or is it
good? You can see it.
Okay, so as far as bacteria goes, I'm going to say support bacteria. Sometimes it's the only culture some people have. All right. So with that thought, that was a great segue. Thank you. We're looking for the good guys, right? So you go to war and there's the people on your side and then the people who are against you, right? There's bad bacteria. You don't want that in there. But good bacteria, we want to support that. And I think when people think of gut health nowadays, we have enough education. We go, I need some good bacteria down there. So on that note, let's learn a little bit about, you said I have about 5 minutes, right?
Sure. Yeah,
okay.
Whatever you take.
So I'll just explain briefly. I'm an iridologist and I totally study the colon through your eyes. How crazy and weird is that? You can actually look in the iris of the eye. And let me just show you. I have this iris chart. I wasn't able to get it onto a PowerPoint, but I was told that you can see it a little bit.
Yeah.
So if you actually, all of you are probably going to go look in the mirror tonight and go, and open your eyes in the mirror and look at the inner part of the iris right here. So this is the pupil, right? And right around the pupil is this sort of a ring. And inside that little ring is your colon area. It's totally outlined as to what it looks like. And so it's so cool. Like your whole colon is completely mapped out. This is just the large intestine. And this is the cecum, or the small intestine, which is right in here. Like if it were actually drawn in, here's the small intestine. And it meets up here with the cecum. And then this is the ascending colon. And this is the transverse colon. And this is the descending colon. And this is where everything exits, right? The anus right here. So in your eyes, you can
Wow.
see everything going on inside of your digestive tract.
So you can see if they're full of it.
Right. No,
They're looking in their eyes.
So you can see half of it on, which way are we pointing? On the right side, and the other half on the left side.
Okay.
Right? Right, left.
Yeah.
So what can you see? Let me see if I can. This is so hard to show, but can anybody see?
Yeah, I think so. We can, yeah, I think so.
So this is what a healthy
I see
colon
differences
looks
in
like.
textures. Oh, nice.
There's like a circle right around where the pupil is. And that circle is happy. It's like a good full circle. There's a lot of good bacteria in
Sheri,
there.
can you pin her so her picture is big for just a minute?
Oh, let's do that. Yeah, let me change the view and it'll be speaker only. And is that any better? That is a little better.
Is that better? I don't have a circle
Bigger.
light. Sorry. I'm relying on
it's bigger though, so I think that's easier to see what's going.
All right. So if that's healthy, here's some unhealthy situations. This is what happens when, can you see, you can actually just know what I'm talking about with this. This is like diverticuli. Now, diverticuli is like a diagnosed situation, but in other words, it's got pockets everywhere. There are many reasons for that. Leaky gut syndrome is going to be seen here. Parasitic infections, nobody likes to talk about that, but that's who lives in those little pockets, or bacteria, or we're going to talk about candida, right? The bad fungal bacteria. And then you can have atrophies as well. So I'm just going to speed through this. So if this side is like all kinked up, it's kind of hard to absorb nutrition in this area, and it's kind of hard to get things through as well. And then this one, you can be ballooned out. And then let's go over to this side. And sorry. This is where you have a prolapse, where any part of your colon, this happens a lot to moms after they have a lot of children, right? And I've actually seen one where hers was prolapsed all the way down to her belly button. Those are fixable by surgery or by
fascial work. This is the plug for the fascial worker. We say we actually can manually lift it, and there are fascial workers worldwide.
Yeah. So if for just a second, I do want her, because I wanted her to talk about that. So this is a good time. Is that okay?
Yeah. Go ahead.
What you're saying. So Kristy, explain what that is and what you do, because when you talked to me about that on the phone, I thought that would be fascinating to hear about as well. And then we'll go back to the more about the stuff.
Thank you for letting me do the shameless plug, Tasha.
Yeah.
So Dr. Ida P. Rolfe discovered that your fascia when you like have a steak, you see the lines of shiny in between the layers. That covers your whole body, and it's all connected. So it starts at your belly button and it ends at your belly button, and it covers every muscle fiber, every organ, every bone, every heart. It's everywhere. Periosteum, pericardium. It's called tendons. It's called ligaments. It's called dura mater. It's everywhere. So since I specialize a lot with women who are prenatal and postpartum, what we'll have is that their fascia gets all pulled forward, and then it droops once the baby's gone. So after you've had that baby, you need to pull the fascia up and back up over the head and down back, because the feet start having problems and the neck starts having problems. But that colon does get dropped. There are other organs that prolapse. And so if you have never use a fascia blaster, ever. If you have someone who can organize fascia, that will create disorder and will cause dysfunction. But if you get a true fascial worker, they're going to be like Rolfer, Feldenkrais, Hellerwork, structural integrator, anatomy trains. Those are people who do the full sessions and put your fascia back into place so that you don't have to have the surgery. I've seen people with surgery. There's all sorts of side effects to messing with your fascia. So
is it like massage? That's how I imagine.
Oh, it looks like massage. It feels like physical therapy.
Okay.
But it works. And I say people like, I once measured it out, and I was like, I'd say people like $25,000 just doing 10 sessions, and that's if they're like a bad massage therapist at $25 an hour, because I can accomplish in one session what it would take over 100 sessions of massage to accomplish, because I'm not moving blood and lymph. I am lifting the body, literally changing structure and releasing all those adhesions. So it looks like massage. Don't expect it to feel like fluffy. It's no. I mean, your therapist is going to go to your pain level, but it's
like foot zoning for the whole body.
Yes. I actually do a reflexology session in session 2. I love it.
So when you said you take the stomach and lift it up over the head.
I take the fascia and lift it. So all your fascia gets pulled. Okay, everybody, if you pull your shirt right here, it's going to affect the seam on the other side. Even though I'm pulling here, it's affecting the bottom seam. So when I start pulling the fascia little bit by little bit, and I move a little bit, then the whole thing eventually starts lifting. So your whole structure lifts. And people like look taller, their necks pull up and instead of being down and forward, this whole medial rotation and ventral drag that I'm sporting because I just had a baby will be released when I have mine done. I'm so excited. So it releases a lot of pain that comes with it, but you're not, putting your bottom lip over your face.
Okay. Wait, how does that look? And also, can you fascial lift your face?
Actually, there are things that you can fascially do for your face, technically.
Okay. Well, maybe that'll be the next time we'll talk about the anti-aging a little more. There's a good group for that too.
That's awesome. All right.
So thank you, Kristy.
So the last few that I want to show you is it can be prolapsed into other areas too. And so it sounds like fascia work would help. That is fascinating that you can do fascia work.
Yeah.
So cool.
Because being able to pull that up in a natural setting, I come from a family of surgeons and they just love to put you under the knife. And that doesn't always bode well in the end. And does it ever stay? Or for bladders and things like that, don't they put like a net in there? And then how do you not get infections?
I've had to do fascial work around those nets, and it's really interesting because they can never quite completely get organized because they put the net in.
Yeah. So and then you can also balloon out in different areas. So what is the pain?
I want to see that.
Which first one?
It's kind of hard to see just on them. Just how this. So I see like the yellow line would show the prelapsing one. Is that what we're looking at?
This is the transverse colon prolapse. This is I think it's the sigmoid colon prolapse. This one's ballooned out. A lot of inflammation in there. And then this one, anybody ever feel like linked sausage inside? It's totally like, this is where things don't pass sometimes and it can get stuck, So worst case scenario with some of these, if it does get linked like that, there are people who go into the hospital. My son, actually, when he was 2.5 years old, something kinked up his colon. And if if your colon's saying you shall not pass, that's a problem. It's not Gandolfo. Right? It is, did I say that? Gandalf. Did I say Gandolfo?
Yeah, it's not a pizza.
It's not Gandalf. It is a problem and you have to open it. And what's funny is, as we're talking about colon health, when I was in the hospital with my sweet 2.5-year-old, they couldn't figure out what to do. They didn't even know that he was plugged up, but I was looking in his eyes and I kind of knew what was going on with him and they weren't listening to mom. So I finally said, hey, my mother came to the hospital. I said, go over and get this, and this from Good Earth, and I'm going to give it to him. And he was out of the hospital that afternoon. It was fine, right? What I did is I gave him an adult dose of an aloe vera juice that's like super strong, and it just washed him out and it opened everything for him. So aloe vera and good bacteria. I know tons of supplements, like I wrote a 70-page thesis on slippery elm, which is the digestive herb for the gut. It's a prebiotic. It puts mucilage into it. It soothes it. It helps to carry away toxins. It helps to take away a lot of the inflammation. So there are products, there are supplements, there are things out there. And so I'm sure that with all of our knowledge that we have on this panel, that we'll be covering a bunch of that. But those are the things that I wanted to introduce.
Very
Any
good.
questions?
Well, I would like to ask.
Yeah, I want to read your thesis.
Yeah, I was just thinking.
Yeah?
I love reading.
Yeah.
I'll dig it out.
Yeah, we would love to read it. That's good. I wanted to ask each of you, if you want to answer this question. So give an example of what when clients come to you. Oh, we have another one joining us. When clients come to you for whatever reason, what are the issues they have, or what are your answers? That's mostly what I'm wanting to understand is Well, it's so important to understand the gut health and how that affects the rest of our body. And I just think that a lot of times you guys have the answers with whether it's giving them the right supplement or more exercise, or I don't know, whatever it might be. But is my question too long? It's not very clear, is it? So who are the clients that come to you? What do they ask you for, and how do you help them? How about that?
So
anyone answer that?
I'll answer that. I don't practice right now as an iridologist, but when I do, and when I'm trying to help them, gut health is number one. I think a lot of people understand that. Like if you don't know what's going on in your gut, let me go back and actually answer your headache questions. So headaches have more to do with the other end of your body than you think.
Wow.
Right?
That's good to know. That's a good example. A lot of people do.
So headaches, how can I explain it? There's this funny joke that Dr. Christopher, who I learned from, talked about, and it's this poem, and it's much more eloquent than how I'm going to explain this story. But in essence, all of the organs got together, and in this joke, they're all trying to decide like which one's the most important. Is it the brain? Like obviously the brain goes, I'm the most important here. You just can't live without me. Is it the heart? The heart's like, you can't pump blood without me. The arms and legs are like, you can't get anywhere without me. And then they go through all the others and what they do. And at the end of the poem, the colon goes, I'm the most important. And all of the organs laugh the colon to scorn. So what does the colon do? It cinches up kind of like that sausage link that you saw. And it holds all of the toxins, and pretty soon the head has a headache. Toxins, right? The kidneys are aching, and the liver is like, whoa, I'm way on overload here. And the hands and the body are the feet and the body and everything is like swollen, and they can't handle all the toxins, and they all go, okay, I'll go. You're the most important. The colon is the stuff. You are king. And so you start there and you make sure that the body is clean, right? So headaches, end game is whatever caused it, it's toxins. It's too many toxins that got you there. Is it because your colon's not doing very well? Are you detoxing everywhere else? Are your hormones off and it's allowing toxins or the wrong concentration of hormones to be going through literally the bloodstream in your head at that time? Is it stress causing vasoconstriction or overdilation? In the end, it's a toxic situation. Are you dehydrated? Are you this? Are you that? And so you start with the colon with clients who have regular headaches, if that answers questions.
Yeah, that does.
So one thing that I, as a dietitian, just to kind of build on what Tasha is saying, as a dietitian, every person will come up to me and say, how can I help? How can I eat right? And it's always with the weight management side of things behind the question, right? And over the years, it's become more and more apparent that, we were talking about this earlier before we even kind of kicked this off, that coming with the idea of weight loss as the primary goal is a little bit backwards, because the weight buildup or the pain or the inflammation or whatever is ailing you, these are messages from your body that are saying things aren't right. And so oftentimes when we come with weight, or I don't feel good, or I just really want to have energy, or I'm not thinking straight, those kinds of things, it goes right back to what Tasha was saying, where there's a lot of toxins. And without understanding that, a lot of people will approach their specialist saying, I'm fighting my body. I need to overcome this. This is something I need to get out of my life. And in reality, what I've been teaching is that it is absolutely the other way around. Your body is your greatest tool, and it is working overly hard to protect you from everything that's going on. And if you can learn to listen to it, listen to the messages, understand the language that it's giving you, that it's speaking to you in, identify what specifically is hurting, and then learn about that organ or that pain center or whatever the case may be. This is where the reflexology and the fascial therapy and massage therapy comes in, is understanding how the body is put together, and that it is just communicating with you. And as you listen to that body, and you begin to manipulate the things that are toxins or that are causing inflammation in your body, whether that is, you know, taking a supplement to help reduce inflammation, or most importantly, supporting the gut by providing it the bacteria to balance your stress hormones and your detoxification in the body and things like that, then the pain begins to melt away. Then the clarity of mind comes back. And even at the end of the day, the weight begins to resolve itself because it's not trying to cope through an imbalanced hormone level and things. And so I think the biggest thing, if we were to walk away here, is understanding that your body is your greatest ally. It is the tool that you need to work with and understand and take the time to listen to, not, I have this big boulder I need to overcome. And I don't know, I would love to get everybody else's opinion, you know, and thoughts related to that. I see a couple of heads nodding, but that's how I've taught people. And it's not even just about nutrition. Yes, nutrition's a part of it, but sleep is where your body is processing those nutrients, and movement is where your body is detoxing those nutrients. And so, you know, the overabundance of nutrients. And so it really is, it's a balanced life in all cases of being able to holistically bring your body into alignment with what it needs.
I wanted to say one thing. Thank you for pointing that out. I mean, Tasha is exactly right. Both of you guys are right as far as everything coming and beginning in the gut. We all know, like, not probiotics, but antibiotics can damage our gut microbiome, right? But what we don't realize is there's other things that can damage the gut. And so we're talking about, okay, yeah, you got headaches. It could be due to toxicity. And what most people do in treating it, they directly treat the headache or mask the symptom rather than trying to determine where this thing comes from. And in most cases, all of these manifestations or problems that we're seeing are coming from unhealthy gut health. And not just antibiotics are causing damage to our gut microbiome. There's other things that can cause damage to it, like high sugar diets, processed foods, high stress. You know, all these things have damage to our gut microbiome. And a lot of things, you know, there's a lot of signs that can manifest themselves that are signs of an unhealthy gut. And a lot of people don't realize that, and they think that it's another issue or another problem. So obviously, if we're having an upset stomach, we're thinking, hey, this is gut health related, right? If it's another thing is like high sugar diet, unintentional weight changes, or if you're having difficulty sleeping, that can be signs of gut health, or skin irritation, autoimmune conditions, or food intolerances. All of these are signs that we have an unhealthy gut microbiome. And so some things that we can do right off the bat, you know, there's basically 7 things that I tell people that they can do right away. And one of those is, number 1, lower your stress levels. Make sure you're getting enough sleep. And I've eaten with Tasha a few times, and I devour my food instantly. You know, she takes her time going through her food, and I'm like, she's not even halfway into it, and I'm completely done. And so eating slowly also and chewing your food thoroughly helps promote digestion and absorption of these nutrients. So that's one thing that I'm guilty of. Another thing is staying hydrated. We don't drink enough water, or, you know, taking prebiotics or probiotics. Those things are key to maintaining optimal gut health.
Okay, I want you to keep going if you don't mind, because I'm making a list and I'm still missing a couple. So prebiotics and probiotics, what else? There's 2 more.
Sleep, chew.
Dehydration.
First stage of digestion is chew.
So lower stress level, eat slower, hydration, prebiotics, and then probiotics.
Sugar intake.
Get enough sleep, stay hydrated.
Sleep, yeah.
Okay. Change your diet.
No sugar, low sugar diet.
No sugar, cut out sugar. You know, check for food intolerances. Some people are maybe allergic to things, and you don't want to keep taking those things. You know, I think Tasha's problem with her child is she probably fed him a whole block of cheese. That was the issue.
Yeah, or bacon, who knows?
Bacon, yes.
And I wanted to go back.
Yeah, I actually ate a whole bunch of dried cranberries, and he was 2.5, and he didn't drink water with it.
Oh no.
Yeah.
There you go. You got to stay hydrated.
Yeah.
I wanted to go back to what Kristy was saying too about her sister, that, the sensitivity to be able to understand what is going on with your body. Some people have that sensitivity and other people don't have it quite, don't understand it quite as well. And that is very real. But, in those events, if you are feeling pain or inflammation and you're not sure why, or even if you're not, maybe you just need to get checked. There are tools that you can learn that sensitivity. It doesn't come as naturally to some people as others, but the body is designed to communicate in most cases. And so, it's something where, people just may have not even taken the time to think about it, and the right questions haven't been posed. And I've had people who have never had that kind of, ever that thought. They're just like, I should be stronger, or whatever the case may be. And they've just never thought to ask their body. And so sometimes it's just getting with the right person and saying, okay, well, have you thought about it this way? And so definitely feel like if you want to improve your health, seek out somebody who does understand that, and they can ask the right questions and bring your awareness, or rather teach awareness where you're at. There's no expectation for you to be an expert on your own body just because, we've said to do that and to listen to your body. That's the first thing that I always go with clients as well, is recognizing that you may have never thought about this before. And so find somebody who can help you talk through it. It's complex. It's hard. It's difficult for sure. So go ahead, Kristy.
Yeah. 10,000 hours is what we consider expert status. And so I'm an expert in several fields. And when I deal with hyperemesis gravidarum, for those who don't know, it's like morning sickness times 100 for moderate and times 200 for severe. Women with severe have PICC lines, have Zofran, I have a friend who had over 100 IVs for one of her babies just to stay hydrated. Gosh. But because of my nutrition background, I'm able to stay at moderate. And yet I have to hold down what I can hold down. So approximately 2 years ago, I gained about 30 to 40 pounds in 8 weeks. 8 weeks. All of my blood vessels were constricted. My fascia didn't have time to release. So now I'm dealing with pregnancy, nausea, where I can't hold anything down except Altoids and saltine crackers and cheese and Kerrygold butter. And that's really bad. It's like carb heaven. I couldn't hold down supplements. I couldn't hold down probiotics or prebiotics or any of my gut healing stuff. I could sometimes hold down enzymes, and I could sometimes hold down some herbs for my blood pressure. And so here I am, like really, really, really struggling, and my blood pressure is skyrocketed. So I'm going over 200. Like this is bad. I had spots in my vision consistently. I was in migraine status for almost a year and a half. And I am an expert, but it was like my brain shut down. It was as if I was walking into my 9+ years of college, and it was all lockers and they were all closed, and I had no keys to any of those doors. If someone had asked me July of 2020 how to reduce a fever, I could not have said, put your child in a tepid tub after their 104 or higher, up to their neck, and let the endangerment sites cool down their blood. I could not have come up with that. That's easy, and I couldn't do it. No matter how great you are at what you do, you cannot do everything for yourself. And with my expertise, I was able to help myself, but I had to pull in my buddies and say, hey, I can't remember. If I were talking to myself, what kind of questions would I ask a client? And they'd ask me the questions, be like, oh, I know that answer. But I had to have someone else ask me the questions. Yeah. And I gained a significant amount of weight. My gut health was great. So I knew that was fixed, but when I went to my cardiologist just after a major heart event last August, I was 100% bed rest, guys, 100% bed rest. I couldn't sing because it was too hard on my heart, my lungs, that connection. I couldn't dance. I'm a dancer. I did dance before I did body work. That's why I went into body work and nutritionist, because I was like, my body's not functioning. I need to find out how to function. I couldn't read aloud to my children. Homeschool, that's kind of a problem. Like I couldn't do anything. And to watch my body recover incrementally, because I already have great nutrition and great gut health. By having those foundations, I have watched my body get better. And in the last month, I went from having to sit in the shower and have my husband wash my hair because it was too much pressure to wash my own hair. That raised my blood pressure too much. So my exercise was sitting on a little rebound or a little trampoline, and to let the vibration move the lymph flow, because there was no other way to exercise my heart and my body. I could not stand for more than 3 minutes. And now I did my daughter's hair for prom, you know? It's so exciting. Your body really is your greatest tool. And if you give it the tools and the gut health, and you can get that good, then you can focus on all the other problems. And I probably could have started doing some things more earlier, but I'm not an expert in the heart. So I went to a cardiologist and I got the echocardiogram and I got the ECT. I really wanted to know so that I wasn't going to kill myself walking the block, because if I walked a block, I would feel horrible back pain. And I wasn't sure if that was deadly or not.
Yeah.
So don't self-diagnose, even if you're the expert. Like, just don't do it. And you're probably not. I'm not an expert in all fields. So this idea of it's okay to outsource. We have the mentality of, I need to do self-care. It's 2020. I need to like hide in my house. No.
No, I agree.
There's telehealth. We can contact someone. And if they don't live near you, like a body worker, I can tell you how to find one in your location. And there's all sorts of different kinds of therapy. And I do fitness and body work and nutrition. And every time I deal with someone, say like in Bangladesh or South Africa or Iceland, I obviously can't go out there. So I'm having them go find a local nutritionist, because I don't know their local foods. I can say what I can find here. And sometimes the supplements that I take that I love don't ship in the country. I only have like 18 countries. So I'm like, sorry, I can't help you in Iceland.
With some limits.
Can I chime in here? So can you guys hear me? Am I on mute?
You're heard.
Okay. So Ruthie RENEE, she's amazing. She has led me through, she can do hypnotherapy, and she can teach you I've taken her self-hypnosis class. She took a mentoring tool that I used and was astounded by years ago, and made it into more of a hypnotherapy, sort of a scan of the body. I mean, it's like getting into a tunnel and doing an MRI for a minute and just becoming in tune. So Kristen, when you're talking about being more in tune, Ruthie has expertise there to help you to learn how to do that. And on a soft level, it's as simple as get out a piece of paper, if you're going to do it the mentoring version, and ask the question, why do I have a headache? And then you just listen and you write the answer. And then you continue and you're inspired as to what to ask next. And then you receive information and you just start communicating. On another level, I've been asked to like write love letters to the organs of my body. I know that's weird. Thank you, heart. You're pumping all the time. And I did a little research. I'm like, wow, you really do like that many liters a day? Like, how do you rest at the end of the day? You don't. You just keep going like a mom does. And so, becoming in tune and loving your body. But what I love about what Ruthie does, and maybe she can talk a little bit more about this, is teaching how to tune in. And it's a spiritual connection and a spiritual skill that you have, because it's through the spirit that your mind and your body connect.
Yes, thank you for that. I wanted you to speak up, Ruthie, because I was thinking as both of you were speaking, Kristen and Kristy, that we don't need to self-diagnose, but we can be in tune for sure. And then also even asking, can we ask our body, Ruthie, can we ask our body, what does it need? Can we say,
Yes. Thank you for that, Tasha. I so appreciate it. And it is a gift. It seems like a gift that some people have, but we really all have it. It's just a matter of where our awareness is and learning and fine tuning it and getting in a partnership. Everything is a relationship. So we have a relationship with our body. Our body is the vehicle. Our brain is the computer, and our soul is the operator. And so getting away from some of the programming, like the natural man is an enemy of God. Well, what is the natural man? It is not your body. Your body is your best friend. It's the number one cheerleader that wants to keep you alive. However, we sometimes not knowingly are sending damaging programs to our body because of whoever knows what the, I mean, we can find it. A hypnotherapy, I call myself a guide, hypnotherapy guide, because I don't fix anything. I guide you to find the answers.
Yeah.
And I also could say detective. So for when I work with clients, I was like, okay, you've got to put your back. When I did nutrition, I was like, hey, let's put our detective hat on. What is your body telling you? And that's the symptoms, the headache. Do I have too much sugar? Is the toxicity high? Did I not have enough water? All of these things you can troubleshoot. But getting familiar with your body, I want to, as all of your talking, it's like, yes, and this and this,
Yeah.
and I want to, so there's only one thing I disagree with you on, Mark, and that's the lower your stress. It's not about lowering your stress level. It's about changing your mind about stress. Stress is not the enemy. Your perception of stress is the enemy. And just to help everybody understand that a little bit more, I want to, in a 30-second version, talk about the HPA axis. This is your body's stress system. And if that is dysregulated, you're going to end up having what we used to call adrenal fatigue. It's not adrenal fatigue, it's dysregulation. And that happens when we're perceiving something as it's going to kill me, and it's not. It's just a little bit scary. It might be a fear that is going to drive you and move you forward. But when you put your body in a state of stress, that fight or flight, you get into sympathetic nervous system, you automatically, okay, just think for just a second about something that is so stressful. Like you're sitting in your home comfortably, and now a stranger comes through the door with a gun. What does your body do?
Fight or flight.
Immediately,
I
the
fight.
adrenaline goes
Attacking.
rushing through your body. Your pupils dilate so you can see where to go and what to target and whatever. You have energy for your extremities, so you can either run away or fight. Guess what doesn't happen? Digestion and hormones. You're not going to make a baby while somebody's holding a gun at your head. You're not.
I'm pretty good at it.
Well, then you and I need to talk.
Right there.
I'm so glad you brought that up about the perception of stress, because anyone that knows me knows that that is exactly what I preach.
Yeah.
And so it's all about the perception and how you handle it and how you deal it. And I always tell people, I'm like, look, where you're at is exactly where you're supposed to be. And I also tell people happiness is a daily conscious choice.
Yeah.
You know, so and a lot of people just react to situations rather than realizing why they're here. Obviously, you know, you can't eliminate all stress. Otherwise, we just sit. No, we don't want to, because it motivates us. It's also a learning experience. And there's a lot of things that we go through on a daily basis. So it's really how we perceive and how we deal with it. Also, I gave up self-hypnosis after convincing myself that I was a chicken, and I will no longer do self-hypnosis again.
Okay. You need to, fire the hypnotist in your head.
I want to know.
You clearly didn't go to Ruthie Renee to learn it. So
no, it was just
no. Talk to Sheri. Sheri's been in my course, and Tasha, and I know that you meant the best for stress, Mark. Just in case anybody is.
Sure.
I remember hearing lower your stress level. Dangerous stress is so dangerous. All of those things, and I would be like, well, guess what? I'm a mom, and I have to work, and I have a tough marriage, and I can't let go of the stress. But I learned how to flip so that the stress drove me in an energetic way.
Yeah.
There's a reason when that stress response happens, our blood vessels are supposed to open so that the blood flows, we get oxygen to the brain, we can think clearly. However, if you have the perceived notion that this stress is bad for me, your blood vessels constrict, and then we see things like heart attacks. The stress is your friend if you believe it. And that's so my connection with gut health, and Sheri, you asked the question like 100 years ago. Why do I have stomach aches? And there are a multitude of answers for that. But my first question that I have with my clients, whether they have autoimmune or a result from recent viruses or food sensitivities, I always ask, when did your life get super stressful? Mm-hmm. And you can always go to, oh, when were you diagnosed with type 2 diabetes? Right, the year after my mom died and I lost my job, and then I found out my husband was cheating, all in the same year. And if there's always some kind of big conundrum that like you tip the balance, because the glucose running through our body to flee or fight, but really you're sitting on the couch texting madly at so and so, because that's the tiger that's at you, is through the phone. Your body's not burning up the glucose, and so guess what? Now we have a sugar problem. So there's more than just what we're eating and the supplementation and all of the things, and we do need to pay attention to that, because your body will tell you, okay, what are the training wheels that we need to help us cope. Coping is good so long as it's not keeping us stuck. There are coping mechanisms that keep us from moving forward, and there are self-soothing coping mechanisms that will give us the space to breathe while we're learning what we need to do to move forward and progress. And that would be learn how to manage first your thoughts, because who makes the hormones, who makes the chemicals, who makes the colon open up, who makes the heartbeat? It's the programmer inside your vessel. So learn how to get in tune with that and communicate with your body, and your life is going to be so amazing. And it's not
I
that
love that
hard.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Because I always tell people, like, it is what it is. Most people have these expectations of what they think life should be, and they try to control everything. And I'm like, no, just enjoy it, love, and live in the moment, and accept it for what it is, and make it a learning experience and an opportunity, no matter what you're being exposed to.
Amen. If anybody wants to learn more, and then I'll be quiet. Friday, if you want to jump on another Zoom, you can come to my what even is it? Conscious Creators, Mind Management and Hypnotherapy group. I'm doing a 3-week class on how to make stress your friend. So this kind of correlated really nicely. And we're in week 3, where we learn how to flip it and make stress your friend. And I do have a couple of meditations now. I put a note on to create a new meditation on my YouTube channel for sugar cravings. And that would be for you, Sheri, so we can just listen and solidify.
I want to talk about that before we're over.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. I will have you, because I gave the 2 examples up front that I think are more common: the headache and the stomach pains. But I don't have either one of those. But I do have I want clarity of thought. I have cloudy thinking a lot of times, and I have very low energy. I fight for energy, and I think Tatia has my answer.
I have an answer for you. Voice from the last one really quick.
Yes.
We're kind of ignoring an elephant in the room, and I don't think we even realize we're doing it. But your gut health is deeply connected to your emotions. In Asian medicine, it's all about letting go if it's your colon, and it's all about digesting information if it's your small intestine. And then, of course, you've got the appendix. But if your gut health is in poor shape, you're going to have suicidal thoughts, and they're not your fault. And that is something we're not talking about. But I can't tell you how many clients have come into my office for fascial work because they had an injury who were suicidal. And I had to talk them off the ledge. And I was the only person they'd ever told. So obviously the first thing I was like, okay, let's see what kind of salt you're eating so that we're hydrated. Okay, who do you talk to? Are they Allah or God or Tao or creator of all that is, or Jesus Christ or Heavenly Father? Like, what do you call them? Because it's time for you to pray. Because, you know, in C.S. Lewis, there's this gentleman who he worshipped Tash, and then he ends in the afterlife, and it was Aslan, who he really did love.
Yeah.
I don't care what people call God, as long as it's the God of the creator of the universe. And I'm unapologetically Christian to my clients because I pray for them in my office and I need them praying for them. The Apostle Paul was solid when he said, my members fight against me. Your body will fight against you, and you have to overcome that natural man. Some of that's the hypnotherapy. Some of that's nutrition. Some of it's getting out of toxic relationships. I never thought I would have to help someone get out of an abusive marriage that I literally was terrified for her safety. As a therapist, I never ever thought I'd be in that situation. We never know whose crossroads we're at, and we need to be emotionally stable, which means we have to heal, because you know you can mount the beam. You really got to move your own beams, and all of a sudden, it's easier to help other people because you're like, oh, I really was that hypocritical. Okay. So we have to remember that gut healing. Yeah, I removed 26 pounds in 3 months. I'm kind of proud of myself, but more I'm just happy that I'm feeling better. But in the world, that would be the accomplishment. But what I'm seeing bigger is I am happier. I feel healthier. I get to be more active. I can read more books. I can use my whole education again. By the way, the lockers are open and I'm a very happy person. We need the gut health and this mental and spiritual space. Those are really the important things. And then everything else, they'll be a great side effect. But we've got to heal our guts for this purpose of feeling the Holy Ghost, the Holy Spirit, of feeling happy. And we have to recognize that sometimes that was something out of our power. You mentioned antibiotics, Mark. Those will mess with your health. I don't care if you're pro or ex-vax. The adjuvants are neurotoxins. And if you don't remove them after you choose to get it, then you're going to have glyphosate, which creates leaky gut syndrome in your small intestine. And that makes a hole in between the villi. And then things go through that were never intended to go into your bloodstream. And that's going to create things like sarcoidosis and Hashimoto's. And people are like, I have a genetic disposition for this. But I'm like, okay, well, let's close up the holes and you'll stop having a genetic disposition for this, okay? Because it's really not that bad. So if we can heal that gut, you know, detox, get your diatomaceous earth out, get your probiotics and prebiotics and enzyme foods. And
so it really comes back to, like Tasha at the beginning of this was saying, that you don't want dirt in your supplements. Well, diatomaceous earth basically is dirt. So
that's a fossil.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's true.
So I think, I mean, if I were to tie all this together, and this is something that I've told people, and of course I have to be a little bit careful depending on where my clients are on the religious spectrum, but this is a Christian-based group, so I'm happy to share it here. But honestly, what it comes down to is our body is a temple. And because our body is a temple, we want to treat it as sacred. We want to be careful what we put into it. And as a result of taking care of it, we are entitled to personal revelation for that body. And so when we take the time to listen and to pray and to nourish it, and to give it the time to give us that revelation, we will receive answers. And that comes from being able to harness the power of stress and redirect it. It comes from being able to identify, you know, this is off balance. And so I can make this adjustment in my life to recorrect that. And it does, it all comes down. What I love about the microbiome is that, you know, we think that our body is our own and that it's something that we have control over, but we don't. There's an entire world, an entire earth, an entire ecosystem that just lives inside that gut that we have stewardship over. And it's gonna work us. And it is not about what we have or what you know, but we don't have the choice of how it's going to influence us unless we're nourishing it, right? I mean, it's a symbiotic relationship. If you don't take care of it, then you lose the agency that's associated with it. I mean, there's so many gospel principles here that you can find all throughout. But it really is, if you are willing to see that sacred relationship between you and your body and use it as a fuel, you can reharness anything and heal from it and grow all of those pieces of your life.
That's so good. Hey, Kristen, I have a question for you from some of our watchers, our audience. If you want to answer this, or anyone can. So Lenora Graz, I'm sorry, my eyes don't going so well. What kind of blood test do you recommend for various purposes? I don't know if that would be you or Kristy who would answer that. Probably you, right?
Oh, I'm sure we probably all have the capabilities.
Yeah, I would just love what kind of blood test, but then also, are there fasting practices that you recommend? That was another, both of those.
Certainly. So blood tests off the cuff, the first one that I always like to do is just a panel one to see kind of where the A1C is. That's usually one of the first indicators that things are out of balance, is if you're not processing your sugars correctly. And it's often it's a really early indicator. There are other blood tests that you can do. They've got several new ones that have come out where you can do a panel on what bacteria is in your gut and what is the most prominent in things, and kind of fill in those gaps. Those are another one that I might recommend. Those are a little more expensive, and you really want to be careful to make sure the person that is doing that is qualified to do that, so that you can receive actionable information and things like that. So, I'm hesitant when it comes to blood tests in particular, because a lot of the things that you might be experiencing may not be reflected in the blood tests. I think that there's other things that I would seek out to find balance before I would rely on a blood test personally. And that would be in, how are you sleeping? How is your movement? Are you able to move? Do you feel like you have the energy levels and the clarity of mind? Those are the indicators I go for before a blood test any day of the week. And I would love, if anybody else has any other opinions, I'm not married to this. This is just how I've practiced and invited other people to take a look at a broader spectrum than just a checklist of, well, this isn't fitting within the mold, so I should do this. But the other thing too, and then to answer kind of the fasting practice, again, it just goes back to how in tune with your body are you? First of all, fasting doesn't really have a definition. I could fast on Sundays, or I could fast for 3 hours, or I could do a 12-hour fast, which means I just slept well and call that an intermittent fast, or there's people that go for 20 hours because every so often a week. So there's really no definition. It's whatever everybody else is. And what I would urge you to do is, yes, there is some detox that happens when you're fasting. It's good to take a break and let your body reset a little bit, but when your body needs nutrients, it's going to tell you it's hungry. And so listen to what you want, listen to your cravings. And as you become more in tune with your body, you're going to look at you might look in the fridge and carrots are bright orange and they look great. And that's because your body needs vitamin A, right? And, if you're starving and the sugar is looking like it's really what you want, when's the last time you ate? It's because your body wants any sort of nutrients. And that's the fastest way to give it energy, but not the best way. So ask yourself these questions. And so when I say, is there a recommended regimen of fasting? I would start with, do a regular, maybe just take the time to not eat the first time you feel hungry and give it a little space, right? And then eat a couple hours later, or ask yourself why you're hungry, but really let your body do that. Some people are really tolerant of fasting and it's really great for them. And that's a great way they get in tune with their body. And some people just don't do it well. And so, listen to your body. That's my first big piece of advice, is listen to it.
Yes. Thank you. I also add, when listening to your body, especially with intermittent fasting or anything like that, going to, like, you're looking at the sugar you're craving because you want something, start with some water. See if you're hydrated first. Start with some water and then check in. And when listening to your body, listen to your tongue, maybe not last, but not first. Because the tongue is like the teenager. Oh, we're fine. We're just 16 wings. We're good. And if you listen to the still small voice of the stomach or the liver, it might just say, that's going to be really hard to process.
Yeah.
Maybe. So listen for a little pause.
I love that you said that too, because I can't tell you how many times people think they're hungry, and there's when you don't take the time to understand your body, thirst feels a whole lot like hunger because your body is trying to get something, and immediately people go straight to food. And so definitely start with the water. Thank you for bringing up that point, because there are plenty of times it's just thirst cravings.
Well, with my clients, the very first thing I do before I do anything is I ask what kind of salt they use. Because if they're using white table salt, there's no magnesium in that. It's just NaCl. And so I want them on a full spectrum salt. And so I can't tell you how many people are so proud of the fact that they don't eat very much salt. And I'm like, okay, osmosis won't work without salt. You have to have salt because your cells, they don't have pumps. The water just flows in and out. So if you don't have enough salt, the water just runs by. I know a woman who would drink her 2 liter. She always had her 2 liter of water and she was always dehydrated, and it just don't help. So I always make sure. And if they're really dehydrated, I'm going to have them eat a pinch of salt and then drink some water. And I'm going with like pink or real or Celtic gray, depending on their nutritional needs, if they need more magnesium or if they need more iron. And it makes me giddy when someone's already taking a full spectrum salt, but it is so rare. And it's not that much more expensive.
Yeah.
So true.
And the flavor is just so much better. But
So much better.
But consistently, people get hungry at night when they've stayed up late because they're tired because their kids finally went to bed and they finally get alone time, and they just want to munch. And if they would eat salt and water instead, they probably wouldn't be hungry, and they wouldn't be gaining extra calories, and they probably actually go to bed at a decent hour because they weren't giving themselves another sugar kick.
Well, and they've done a few studies recently that have come out. I'll have to grab the name of it, but they've actually found that because there's this big push against salt, with DASH diet and everything like that for heart health. And they've actually been finding that it's not the presence of salt, but it's the imbalance of salt with not enough of the other electrolytes, not enough magnesium, not enough potassium. So the salt in itself is not the culprit. It's just that there's so much more salt and not enough potassium and magnesium to help balance out how the salt is done is used in the body. And so, anybody who's curious about that, definitely do your research there, but, get a balance of all the electrolytes and make sure you're doing that full spectrum, just like Kristy said, for sure.
Can you put that in French fries too?
We make our own French fries.
There are several other mineral spices.
Can I just put it out there that food is not bad? Food is good. I eat a really delicious, nutritious, very healthy diet. And I was out and about today. I have allergies, so there are very few places I can eat out. But unfortunately, Wendy's is one of them. So I went to the store that shall not be named today because we ended up being out far longer than I thought. And it was the first time in years that I didn't feel one iota of guilt for eating a spicy chicken sandwich. And when my body said I was done, I was like, oh, okay, well, I don't want the bread anymore. That doesn't make me sad. Like, there was no emotional attachment. We can pull that emotional attachment that we have to food away from our culture, our world would change.
That's a good example. I tell people, such a good example. I tell people a hammer can be used to build a house, or it can be used to hurt somebody very badly. It is a tool. It does not care what it does. It will do whatever we do with it, right? And that's really how food is. Food is a tool in our body, and it should not ignite our emotions. It should not ignite our behaviors. It's something that is a tool used to nourish. We can choose to use it to build our body, or we can choose to use it to destroy. But it's up to us to listen and figure out the best way to use it so we can build the best house we have.
So I don't know if anyone else is craving this, but I'm kind of craving a spicy chicken sandwich. That's why you're so spicy, girl.
Sorry, so let's do like Creo Brew without sugar or milk or anything.
Creo Brew.
So magnesium, the chocolate way.
If I can chime in there, there are things that help you with your health, right? And there are things that don't. One of my favorite book titles is called Eat to Live, when normally we're just living to eat, right? And I'm not trying to backpedal on our emotional attachment to food and what we should and shouldn't eat for our health. I don't want to should on anybody, but if we recognize that God made our bodies to receive the nutrition that he has also gifted us in the earth around us, and that we can become in tune with what we need. If we are craving chocolate, for instance, we can do a Creo Brew with a higher magnesium and theobromine and serotonin and all that stuff that we're looking for that happy kick and for that relaxation kick, or that aphrodisiac kick, like whatever you're after with those. And you can know what your body needs and then give it what it needs. So you eat to live, you find nutrition to enhance your life and your health. And, you know, if you're along the road, I've been in places where like, I need to eat calories, period, end. I have actually eaten things that I'm allergic to just to get my calories up. And then I deal with the allergies later. There's a priority that goes with all of it. And so what I'd like to allude to, considering this is a Christian platform, we have in the books of the Old Testament, Daniel and Isaiah and Proverbs. And a lot of these scriptures resound the words that we shall run and not be weary, that we shall have health in our navel, right? And we can run, shall walk and not faint. And we're also blessed with treasures of knowledge. So the fogginess that we talk about in the brain, there's an openness that comes when the bloodstream is clean, when your river is clean, when it's running, when it's well hydrated, right? There's lots of flow, when there's enough nutrition, when it's actually getting to the extremities everywhere and everything is feeling at peace and there's homeostasis and there's balance and there's nourishment. There is a certain law to health. And the more that we find out about what actually brings us that health, why not seek after it? Why not do what is going to bring us a greater clarity of mind and a wholeness? And so if we have any other comments, I'll open that up, but I want to lead into a challenge that I have for everybody at the end here.
I do want you to. There's one question for Kristy from our Facebook, friend. Kristy Caswell says, Kristy, I think you hit on a key principle with the glyphosate. Is that how you say that?
Glyphosate.
Yeah, punching holes in the gut. I have heard that cortisol can also make your gut more sensitive to allergens as well. Is that true? And she says, when I was having a lot of stress, I noticed I am much more sensitive to gluten, for example. Like, can we change some of our, I'm adding to this, I don't know if this is what she's actually asking, but can we actually change some of our intolerances by certain supplements or cortisol? What she said, she heard that cortisol works for that.
When you ask a question like that, you have to start thinking about the domino effect.
Oh, okay.
So if your stress is high, that means that you're responding for a specific reason. Your brain recognizes stress and excitement filling that same space. So you get to pick how you're responding. Are you excited about this thing that's happening, my blessed trials? Or we will not swear and say my other kind of trials, you know? So we've got, you know, that idea of first, where is the impetus coming for the stress and how are we dealing with it? And then what does stress do to the body? Well, you have cortisol. Cortisol is, you know, going to be raising all sorts of symptoms, like you're going to raise your blood pressure, you're going to change your respiratory rate. If you're living on cortisol, you're only supposed to use that fight and flight every 12 weeks. It takes 12 weeks to regenerate, and then you're only supposed to use it for 3 days. Mm-hmm. So if you're living in this, I have a bear in the cave, rather than I was out hunting and there was a bear and I used it and now I'm going back to normal life. If you live in that space of there's always this underlying terror, then you are creating body-wide inflammation. You create body-wide inflammation, depending on your genetic disposition, you're going to respond. So if you're dealing with the gene deviation for MTHFR, FR, you know, and so many words in that one, FR, or sarcoidosis or SIBO, or maybe you've got, what is that cute little, it's such a pretty little bacteria that loves, H. pylori, that loves to live in the stomach. That is not a fun one. You have to have antibiotics to get that one out. You can't use herbs. Mm. So you can attract lots of things with your stress. And I think there's a huge spiritual component to that. The first several years of my marriage were really abusive, and it was both of our faults. And I got to this point where I just didn't want to live anymore. And I had these 2 little kids, and at this point I had gone back to massage school, and this is when I was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And it was really interesting because it was a hugely stressful event that happened, and then it kind of reduced as I went to massage school. So you think that the reduction of stress would make me feel better, but instead that's when the diagnoses came up. And I realized that I had things to live for. And so now I was like, great. Conversely, now I have to like work to recover. And I would rather die than do chemo. I've been at the bedsides of too many chemo and radiation clients. So I chose a different route. And I had to reverse that. In Asian medicine, we consider 1 month for every year of destruction. It took me a year and 8 months to completely remove all the symptoms from the pancreatic cancer. And you can't expect to just rebound when you've done that kind of damage. I had gone through psychological abuse almost my entire life, and then, you know, and then made the choices in my marriage to attack my own husband, and then him to be like, "You're doing this." I'm like, "I am not." Yes, you are. You know, like we don't want to face our trials, and I had to peel away doing hypnotherapy and reflexology and all sorts of different therapies in nutrition and gut healing to peel away my eyes and say, "Heavenly Father, am I really this messed up?" And have him be like, "Actually, you are." Our bodies are this physical manifestation of what's going on in our spirits and our minds. Like, we can't get away from that.
Yeah.
So if you are having increase in this allergy or increase in the symptoms of something, you really do want to get pedal back and not just look at the physical aspect. In Asian medicine, we look at those meridians like, okay, you have stomach problems. Okay, that's your earth archetype. And there are lots of things in the earth archetype that we need to deal with. So you can't compartmentalize. We're just too complicated to compartmentalize. That's why we go to different specialists, because we just can't do it all. And then we go to God and say, what's the best specialist to go to for me? I have had clients who come in and break all my rules. They don't match anything that I think is normal for a client. And I'm like, "Oh, you don't need that supplement. Sorry, everybody else does, but you don't." You know, you have to be prayerful, because your therapist or practitioners, they might not be as in tune with your body.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Did that answer my loquaciousness?
Can I give a quick answer with that too, on just at the tail end? A quick fix when you're in a state of stress, fight or flight. We want to eat because eating, the chewing motion, helps move us into the parasympathetic. However, there's villi that line the gut, and when you're not ready for digestion, they're open, allowing food particles to get into the blood that aren't supposed to be there. And then we end up, that's the leaky gut. Then we end up with the food allergies. So rule of thumb is, if you're stressed, don't eat. If you want to help engage the relaxation, chew on ice, chew on a piece of gum, chew on water, something to get the chewing motion to trigger that, or do some tapping, do some havening touch, do something to calm yourself down, breathe before you take the bite.
Your dentist does not want you to chew on ice, by the way.
Well, make sure the ice is from, what is that, Sonic, where it's pebble soft.
I love that.
There you go.
Chew on a straw, chew on a pen. Don't chew on something, especially that might have allergens that are, you know, who knows who really is allergic to wheat. And we didn't even get into sourdough and fermentation, all of those things.
We could have a part 2 for sure.
It could be a weekend event.
We can do a part 10.
But the bottom line is just like, if you want to protect your gut, we want our gut at optimal working capacity before we put food down in there. So before you breathe, guess what, you guys? Pray before your meal. How many people are angry in the middle of a prayer? My oldest thought that we prayed so that the food would cool down, because while Dad was praying, I was always going.
I thought it was to kill the germs.
Yes, please. But think about it, like, we're taking just that moment to come back into a state of calm, homeostasis where we can digest.
Wow, that's a good point. I never thought about that.
And for me.
Well, I wanted everyone to hear me saying this, that I invited each of the participants to share with us who they are, what they do, how we can reach them. They all have these services that I want to offer anyone who wants them. So I actually talked to Tatia also about a little challenge, a sugar cutting challenge. And because I was telling her it's what I need to do. And I think there are some who may want to join us in that. So I'll let you talk about that. But if anyone else has anything else that you want to share, I would love, we can put it in the comments. We can put it also in the description if that's easier to put.
I will just put links. I'll just put links in.
Okay, so you can say anything you want to say right now about how people can reach you. We can go one at a time. Kristy.
I was actually wondering if you could do a screen share ability so I could just show my website, because I have gone online and people have like stolen my name and done weird websites.
Oh no!
So I want to make sure someone finds my website.
So I would make you Kristy. Make you a co-host.
Okay.
Actually can make anyone a co-host. You guys can all be co-hosts if you want, because then you can do whatever you want to do.
So this is my Instagram. So I do a lot of prenatal, postpartum, as well as healing stuffs. And so you'll see my Christian coming out. And then this is my website. And this is kind of like the Reader's Digest version. If you really want to go into my blog, I have lovely, massive things on hydration and hyperemesis and stuff. But this gives you a basic. So if you want to go to dancecore.us.
So what I see, dancecore.us. Okay.
.us. It says Wix site because I've been working on it today. Yeah, I was working on it today. But if you go to dancecore.us, I'm patriotic, then you can just get a hold of me that way.
Okay.
And I am gaining more hours. I do a lot of remote work.
Oh, good. That's
but
perfect.
I am now starting to do physical body work if you're in the Utah area. If you're not, then I can help direct you to the kind of body workers that you need, depending on the kind of problem you have.
If you're in another country, there might be a little more of a challenge.
Well, even if you're not in Utah, we have structural integrators everywhere, but sometimes people don't need structural integration, and it's not ethical of me to say you need this when they actually need, say, acupuncture or iridology or hypnotherapy. So it's
you can see. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, and Ruthie has a class going on Friday. Go to her class on Friday night, or Friday, not night, 10 a.m. right? I'm trying to remember. What time is your class, Ruthie? You're on mute still, sorry.
Sorry, yes, 10 a.m. your time, Mountain Time, 11 Central, 12 Eastern. Thank you, Sheri taught me how to Zoom into the groups, and so that will be going directly to the group, and I'm putting that in the chat right now.
Yeah.
And there are also, I have a YouTube channel where you can go, you can learn for free, but you can also and this is in my group as well, you can listen to free meditations. You guys, I have a client who has terrible IBS, and through the space of the last 3 or 4 months, she's been able to completely clear it up. And I had made a couple of gut therapy meditation specifically with her. So if that's something you're looking for, go listen to them for free and boost that up.
Very good. Okay, Tatia says skinnysecret.net is her website.
I can tell you about it.
Yeah, you can.
Okay. So if you go to skinnysecret.net, this is my 5-day no sugar challenge. It starts with downloading our free ebook, which is 3 reasons why sugar is hijacking your health and 3 ways you can fight back. And that's kind of what it looks like, at least from my phone. Once you download this free ebook, it will automatically email you a 5-day no sugar challenge. And so each day you'll get an email, and it'll help encourage you the very first one is like, how do I get set up? And so it's 5 days, no sugar.
Totally do that.
Right? You're testing yourself out, and it's super nourishing you. So like day one, it focuses on hydration. The second day, it focuses on another nutrient. The next day, another nutrient, and then on down. So each day you have a goal at the same time as you are avoiding sugar. And why do we do this? Because I'm a formulator and I make fun things. So this is called Skinny Secret. That's one of the names for this product. And what does it do? It's made with an herb called gymnema, and gymnema is Ayurvedic. It's been used for thousands of years, and people would go into the jungles in India and put the gymnema leaf on their tongue, and it would make it so that they couldn't taste sugar for hours.
Oh my word.
It literally changes your taste buds for a certain amount of time, and we calibrated this one to last for about an hour. It's totally fun. Like you put it on your tongue and you almost want to start tasting everything because you want to know what it tastes like without sugar. But I challenge each of
Bananas are gross, by the way.
Oh, I know. She's tried this, so, especially bananas with peanut butter. It's really awkward. So,
bananas with peanut butter is awkward without the pill.
I know. Chocolate's just not the same. So I had just a little story about this. If you want to get off your soda, soda is probably the number one thing that you want to get rid of, at least on a regular basis, drinking that soda. You take Skinny Secret, you drink your soda afterwards, and then you start tasting what soda tastes like without that sweetness. It's disgusting. It's so bad. You'll get a taste aversion to it. You may never want your Mountain Dew or your Dr. Pepper or your Coke again. And when I demo it, I actually have a garbage can because people spit it out. It's so bad. And so it will train you.
So if we do that with you, where I was going to wait to the last, but I still want to talk about Mark and Kristen, but I'll ask you this real quick. So if we do this challenge, it would be a 5-day challenge. We would do your ebook, and then we can also get that supplement.
So when you download the ebook, it takes that email address that you put in there, and it automatically emails you for 5 days in a row. We don't use the email for anything else. It's just to give you that 5-day challenge, and you can share it with friends and everybody out here. We've got 20 people. You could all do a no sugar challenge together, and then talk about it online. You know.
We have 300 people in the group, so there might be some others that could do it with this. We could do it in the group if you're okay with that.
Testimonial here. If you think you eat a very, very low sugar diet, which I do, and you do this whole no sugar thing, you'll probably still have a sugar headache detox. I had no idea I would. I was shocked. It took at least 4 days. And I already eat a very, very low sugar diet. I include sugar like popcorn is sugar, and yams and and carrots and bread. Like I eat a very, very low carb diet, and I still had a detox.
So this one, you may find that you don't have too much of a detox because the things that I have you add in, I don't want to take too much more time. We're way over, but like day one is drink a bunch of water, that'll detox you. But day 2 is greens, and greens actually carry away a lot of toxins. And so I'm a nutritionist too, and practitioner like you. And so I knew like which nutrient to put in. And the day that you eat all the fruit that you can possibly eat, it's not helpful for candida and stuff, but it helps you to get off of like processed sugars. And it's the day where you would expect you to be just wanting and craving sucrose, candy, like stuff that you don't want. And so you're filling your body with vitamins and minerals from the fruits instead. And it just helps you get through that day. So each day is very strategic, very well done. And you may actually find that this detox is, it's a great.
Thank you for saying that, Tasha, because it really makes me when people are against fruit. Fruit, juice, I'm not bad. Fruit with all the fiber, very, very good. We need carbs.
What's that movie? She's like, I'm a fruitarian. I only eat fruit that's already fallen onto the ground. This is not required here.
We don't need to go that extreme.
That's awesome. So I want to hear from Kristen, and then also Mark. What information do you guys want to share with us if you're available for clients, or Mark, you shared your website. I'll share that too.
Yeah, High Energy Labs for Mark. That's where you find his products.
Hey, I just wanted to tell everyone, although Tasha calls it skinny secret, she doesn't want anyone to keep it a secret. So please tell everyone.
Yes.
Oh, you're awesome.
And then I think Kristy, I don't know, you kind of mentioned it before, but if there's anything you wanted to say, you did bring up earlier before we started our call about just this, I don't know if we're taking this off to another conversation, but if you could wrap up for a second about that the stigma that people have when you say weight loss is not a good term to use.
Oh yes, we didn't even talk about it.
Yeah,
So it has zero filter, but it controls 88% of us. So if you say I can't do that, you're saying I can do that. That's what your brain hears, is I can do it, not I can't. So when we say the word term, I love Renee, you did too. You knew this. That if you say I'm going to lose something, you go find it. So when I was a kid and I first started studying nutrition, I was all worried about yo-yo diets, because you lose weight and then you gain that same amount plus 15%, and then you lose weight, then you gain that amount plus 15%. So dieting actually was making people gain more weight. And they weren't understanding resting metabolics, their how their body worked and how to actually remove excess cellulite. So I even say stop losing anything, because if you lose something, you find your keys and you find your phone. I remove excess cellulite, because you need cellulite. Women are supposed to have that 15%. It's important for your body functions. Your brain needs fat, or you can't think.
Yes.
And there are good fats and there are bad fats that are high inflammation, but we got to get past this whole lose, and let's just remove the excess and feel fit and healthy. Okay. And be happy with our body. I am so proud of my body.
Yeah.
And I still weigh significantly more than I did when I was 20, but I'm very happy.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm glad you so much more healthy than when I was super thin. So much. I would run circles around my skinny self. So we release what is excess that we're not using or useful.
Release. Okay.
Release
well, I'm going to rename my products. So far, we don't want to be skinny or secret.
Let's be clear. I still have a target fitness.
Yeah. I love it. Love your body formula. I don't know. Okay, Kristen, did you want to add? Can you tell us your website or how to?
Sure. So my website's coming live. It's under construction at the moment. I do have an online course along with a few 5-day challenges myself. It's just all getting built at the moment. So it's going to be released. I'm facing an imminent move, and so it's going to be released as soon as I'm settled, right, in probably July. So
yeah, share it with us for sure when it comes up. Share it with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do have a Facebook page. So just facebook.com/open eating. Open eating is kind of the term I use because it's time to open up our minds about how we eat, about all of the things that affect how we eat, about all of the things that we've talked about. And so awesome. Just be on the lookout, but I do daily posts. And so feel free to reach me there, private message me. I am taking clients right now. This is expanding. It's just, I'm taking it to a little bit of a more scalable level. We do have a lot of products available. They're just not marketed at the moment. So feel free to private message me through Facebook or just respond to any of those daily posts and we'll be able to get back to you. But yeah, be on the lookout, and we're excited to get everything released as soon as I don't have that move between me and there.
That's so good. So Ruthie has been working ruthlessly to put the links. Do you have everyone's websites? Are you copying and pasting? She's so awesome.
Bless you.
Awesome. Thank you. Oh yeah, I could just look right here and see it. Thank you. That's good. Okay, is there anything else anyone has to say? Kathy Tykert says, I feel so terrible when I eat sugar. It's motivation not to eat it. I have a constant fight inside me about that. Like you said, the teenager that like my tongue rolls all my eating lately. So yeah, I'm gonna want your help, Tatia. And Mark's. The energy. I want high energy. So let me ask you, Mark, do you suggest lowering your sugar to increase your energy?
Definitely sugar. I mean, we've been talking and discussing gut health, and sugar destroys the good bacteria. And so the one thing we didn't address, that we said all these things, we talked about managing stress properly. We talked about cutting sugar out. We talked about increasing probiotics and prebiotics and all these different things, but we didn't talk about like what foods or what steps people can take as well. So real quick, I just want to point out some things that people can ingest and take. And this isn't a plug for supplements or anything. I'm just saying, as far as natural foods go, I mean, we talked about hydrating, taking water. Another thing, you want to eat foods that are very high in fiber. That is going to help with gut health and the microbiome. That would be like peas, oats, bananas, legumes, berries, things like that. I love that who was it that brought up sugar? I mean, as far as fruit sugar and eating fruit, the whole fruit as opposed to fruit juice. Awesome. So garlic and onion is another thing that people can take. They have immune system enhancing properties. You know, fermented foods like yogurt, miso, kefir, all those are really good probiotics. And then collagen boosting foods are good too, like salmon, bone broth, things like that are really good for gut health. So
on your website, do you have all this? I want to learn all.
No, I don't. I never focus on that stuff, but really, I mean, my product line, High Energy Labs, which I posted there, is really, and it started out as an anti-aging, and then it kind of morphed into a sports nutrition line. And that's really what we focus on. I'm 92 years old, so the products work amazingly well if you're looking for anti-aging. Tasha's been taking it too. I think she's like, what, 87?
You're verging on snake oil here, Mark.
Yeah, no. So, and that's, I love that we talked about earlier about looking for full disclosure and what it is that you're taking and what you're trying to treat and what type of ingredients that are actually in those formulations. But a lot of things, you can find naturally. So, these supplements and things are used as a supplement they are food items. So make sure you're eating proper nutrition and make sure that you're exercising as well. And I tell people that exercise, drink lots of water, and eat the right foods and try to cut sugar out of your diet, and you're going to be a lot healthier. And then if there's particular things that you need to treat, lean towards supplementation, things that you're missing out of your diet.
Yeah, and then we have the nutritionist to help us know what those kinds of things are.
Exactly. And if you want to become a chicken, we have you can lean toward hypnotherapy as well.
I love it. We need to do one of these times, Ruthie. If you can hypnotize people, I've been to her classes. It's not at all.
I would love to try it.
You missed the chicken comment, Ruthie.
What are you talking about hypnotizing?
If we want to turn into a chicken, we come to you for hypnotherapy.
Oh yeah, if you want to turn into a chicken, go see Mark. If you want to release your sugar cravings or get under control with your stress or how to listen to your body, come see me.
There we go.
And I'm sorry, my poor kitty's been outside and starving this whole time.
I want to see the kitty. Show everyone the kitty.
Oh, good. He's doing that. Sheri.
He's cussing me out right now.
Oh, cute.
So cute.
Before we go, someone asked about intermittent fasting.
Oh, yes.
And I've studied a lot of diets just because I wanted to know why they contradicted each other. Because they do. There's a lot of contradiction in them. They contradict physiology, which doesn't make any sense. So it's really, really important that you find a solution for hunger, because if you get hungry, then your body automatically thinks that you are in famine mode. And there is a famine diet, and there are reasons to use them. It's good to know what stage of your life you're in so that your dietary choices match that. Because I'm going to give someone who's postpartum a different dietary choice than a teenage boy who has got a hollow leg. I have one. He has a hollow leg. So understand your different places, but also try your best not to be hungry. And again, I always go for salt and water to see if they're not actually hungry in the first place. But there are good foods. And if you're eating these fibrous foods that we're talking about, you're going to feel more full because it takes longer for you to digest it because your stomach has to churn it. Yeah. But if, I don't know, there's just so much we don't talk about good fats, and we didn't discuss good fats here. Yeah. But I'm just going to give you a rundown of my favorites so that you have a solution. Coconut oil, for whatever reason, the government has a vendetta against coconut oil, but it's really great for you. So just ignore them, even though they're usually great people. I'm sorry, but they were wrong on that one. Olive oil, it needs to be in a dark container. If it's in a light container, if it's in a clear container, you're unlikely to get the amazing benefits from it. So it needs to be in a dark container. And avocado oil, it smells like rancid oil. So if you buy it, it doesn't mean it's bad. Taste it, because it's probably fine. It's really good for you. Really, really good for you. And a grass-fed butter. And Amish butter is not grass-fed. That was a total marketing ploy. So make sure it's grass-fed butter. But those are good fats, and they will help your brain work, and your body can metabolize them. And they're also alkaline, so you're not increasing your inflammation. So,
oh yes,
put that out there.
Another topic. The inflammation could be another hour.
Right. So really quick, when you take gymnema and you take chlorophyll, which are two key ingredients in here, at the same time, they actually affect your ghrelin levels to help you be in a more leptin phase. And so if it's not time for you to eat and you're starting to feel hungry, sometimes it's a hormonal imbalance and a drive with too much ghrelin. People actually do have disorders where they're just hungry all the time, the hollow leg, right? But like times 10. And so if ghrelin's out of control, that's one thing that gymnema, these key ingredients that I put in here, you know, all the boring science behind all the magic that's in a project or a product. And there is, and greens. So if you don't have a product like this, just eating a whole bunch of greens at that point in time will also likewise help to balance ghrelin as long as you're hydrated. So like water and greens.
Just to clarify, you said chlorophyll, not chloroform, as to that's what you put in your diffuser at home to go to sleep, right, Tasha?
That's a fun joke we've had. Right? I was like, hey, I did a presentation the other day on essential oils. I'm like, put chloroform in your everybody will go to sleep, no problems.
Chlorophyll's a great natural green food coloring, not chloroform.
Yeah, chlorophyll is what we're talking about right now. The green stuff, the green blood of plants.
Someone like me would like take it for like, it would be okay, I'm taking notes. I have no idea.
What happened to Sheri?
I don't know.
Exactly. You guys are awesome. I really admire all of you, and you're smart. I just took a nutrition class and I didn't do so well because of all the chemistry that I have to remember. And you were just talking about some of the terms that I was like, oh yeah, the lipids or the lectin. I don't know all those terms. I'm like, oh, I'm so glad we have nutritionists that we can turn to answer all our questions. I'll just leave it with you guys to give me my treatments or whatever I need. I love it. You guys have offered so much great information. I really appreciate you being on here. Oh my gosh. Very high quality stuff. Sometimes I'll edit it and shorten it up a little bit, but I'm just going to leave the whole video up in there for anyone to see it anytime they want, and then ask any other comments. And if you guys don't see the comments, I'll send them to you. So anyway, thank you so much, you guys. Have an awesome night. Thanks for watching.
This was such a pleasure.
Sheri.
Great. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us on here, and thanks to everyone for listening. I was very surprised at all the knowledge and the information that's here on this panel.
Yeah.
So I didn't come in here planning to be a part of this, but thanks for having me.
Isn't that awesome? I'm so glad you did. Tatia, glad that you invited him, but you knew
I just sent him my link. I didn't realize like how the platform was. I'm so embarrassed.
No, don't be embarrassed. I'm just saying,
He's a professional.
I'm really glad. You know that he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad you came on. We needed to have that extra testosterone, so thank you. Okay, you guys have a good night.
Thank you.
Later. Bye.